Ladies and gentlemen, today we stand at a remarkable moment in the unfolding story of India's rise on the global stage. A story that is not just about economics, not just about diplomacy, but about the redefinition of how nations engage with each other in an era of uncertainty and change. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's recent discussions with European Union leaders about the early conclusion of the long-awaited free trade agreement mark a potential turning point in the future of international trade, investment, and strategic partnerships. To truly understand the weight of this moment, we must not only look at the negotiations themselves, but also the history that brought us here, the challenges that lie ahead, and the unprecedented opportunities that can be unlocked if India and the European Union come together with clarity, determination, and shared vision. For over 16 years, the India-EU Free Trade Agreement, or FTA, has been a subject of endless discussions, hesitations, and sometimes outright deadlock. From 2007 to now, round after round of negotiations struggled over tariffs, market access, labor standards, intellectual property, and a host of other sticking points. At times, it seemed like the deal was slipping into permanent stalemate. But today, something has shifted. With Prime Minister Modi at the helm of India's global diplomacy, and the EU leadership recognizing the urgency of diversifying their partnerships away from overdependence on China, the path toward a breakthrough has opened wide. This is not merely about reducing tariffs on cars or whiskey, or about opening Indian markets to European agricultural products. It is about the recalibration of two vast economic entities, the world's largest democracy and the world's largest trading bloc, working together to build a future that is resilient, sustainable, and strategically independent. Think about the scale for a moment. The European Union is India's third-largest trading partner, accounting for nearly 11% of total Indian trade, while India is among the EU's fastest-growing trade partners. In 2022 alone, trade in goods between the two sides touched over $120 billion, and trade in services added another $40 billion to the mix. But despite this impressive growth, the potential remains vastly underutilized. Tariff barriers, bureaucratic hurdles, and lack of a structured free trade framework have prevented India and Europe from realizing the full scope of their economic relationship. A free trade agreement has the potential to change all of that, boosting trade by double, even triple, in the coming decade, creating millions of new jobs and deepening technological and industrial collaboration. What makes this moment even more significant is the geopolitical backdrop against which these negotiations are taking place. We are living in a world where global supply chains have been disrupted by the pandemic, where energy security has been thrown into turmoil by the Russia-Ukraine war, and where rising protectionism threatens to fragment the international economic order. In such a world, partnerships based on trust, shared values, and mutual benefit are more vital than ever. For Europe, looking eastward to India is not just a matter of trade, but of strategic necessity. The EU knows it cannot remain excessively dependent on Beijing for manufacturing, nor on Moscow for energy. For India, looking westward to Europe is about securing access to cutting-edge technology, green energy collaboration, investment capital, and new markets for its booming exports. The equation is simple. Europe needs India, and India needs Europe. The FTA is the bridge that can make this mutual dependence a source of collective strength. The recent discussions between Prime Minister Modi and the EU leadership underline this urgency. Both sides have committed to fast-tracking negotiations, with reports suggesting that an agreement could be finalized before the end of the year. Imagine the symbolism of such an announcement. After nearly 2 decades of hesitation, a decisive breakthrough. For Modi, it would be a crowning diplomatic achievement, showcasing India not only as a key partner for the West, but also as a nation capable of shaping the rules of global trade. For the EU, it would be proof that Brussels can still move swiftly and decisively in forging alliances that reflect the realities of today's world. For ordinary citizens both in India and in Europe, it would mean tangible benefits. Lower prices for goods, more investment in infrastructure, more opportunities for students, professionals, and entrepreneurs, and a stronger economic foundation in a time of uncertainty. But let us not underestimate the challenges. Free trade agreements are never easy. There will be disputes over intellectual property rights, over labor protections, over agricultural subsidies, and over digital trade regulations. Europe will push India to lower tariffs on luxury goods, on cars, on wines and spirits, while India will demand easier access for its textiles, pharmaceuticals, IT services, and skilled workers. Negotiations will test the political will of both sides, but therein lies the opportunity, handled with care, compromise, and vision. This agreement can become a model of balanced trade diplomacy, one where both sides give something and gain even more in return. What makes this potential deal particularly powerful is its alignment with the larger strategic goals of India. Under the banner of Atmanirbhar Bharat, or Self-Reliant India, Prime Minister Modi has emphasized not isolation, but the creation of resilient value chains where India plays a central role. The FTA with Europe can help India integrate into global value chains, attract investments in manufacturing, and advance its green transition. Europe, with its ambitious climate goals, sees India as a natural partner in renewable energy, electric mobility, and sustainable infrastructure. The synergies are immense. Together, the EU and India can set new global standards for fair trade, green trade, and digital trade in the 21st century. This agreement, if concluded soon, would also resonate beyond economics. It would send a powerful message to the world that democracies can collaborate to shape the global order at a time when authoritarian regimes are testing the limits of time. This agreement of international law, the India-UFTA, would symbolize the convergence of two regions that value transparency, rule of law, and sustainable development. It would be a partnership not only of trade, but of values, of shared responsibility, of joint leadership in tackling challenges like climate change, digital security, and global health. To the people of India, this agreement holds the promise of new opportunities. Farmers could gain access to high-value markets in Europe. Startups could partner with European investors to scale globally. Young professionals could find new pathways to work and innovate in European cities. And to the people of Europe, it offers access to one of the world's fastest-growing consumer markets, a vibrant hub of innovation, and a partner in addressing the very challenges that will define the coming decades. And so, my friends, when we speak of Prime Minister Modi and EU leaders discussing the early conclusion of this free trade agreement, we are not talking about technical negotiations alone. We are talking about history in the making. We are talking about a deal that could shift the center of gravity in global trade, that could inspire new confidence in the power of diplomacy, and that could lay the foundation for an India-EU relationship as transformative as any partnership of the modern era. The time is ripe, the opportunity is here, and the leadership exists to make it happen.